Here's a gentle reminder to use the referral code down below so that you can also gain 1 million skill points that help you achieve some of the goals that you want playing EVE Online. Now on to the video. Hello everyone, it is Scar Gaming, and today I want to talk about some very, I guess I want to say disturbing news, but not really if you're kind of deep in the trenches of EVE Online. So if you're chronically online like myself, you probably browse Reddit, and within Reddit, a few posts have come up. The first one is called Botting to Report Intel, CSM, Candidate Deceits, Alliance Strategy. And the other is of the similar name, but it says Gooseflock streets are paved with ISK. Now, I will be linking all of this down below, but there are some allegations being thrown within the Gooseflock Federation, which is a pretty sizable alliance. I want to say over 400 members. Obviously, we don't truly know how much of that number is active, as a lot of alliances have inflated numbers because of alts, but that is a pretty sizable alliance nonetheless. And I will not bore you with the full details, as these are pretty lengthy posts and I highly recommend you read them yourself. But the TLDR of it is that Gooseflock decided to sort of employ the services inadvertently or without knowing of a very famous or maybe infamous armed tier in EVE. And botting is pretty common within the EVE community. I will not say this isn't something new, but the sort of bot that was developed is certainly interesting. The bot was dubbed Skynet, and if you know anything about that name or it sounds familiar, it's pretty much an intel reporting bot that sort of instantly notifies you within a Discord channel if anybody has entered any of the systems that a alt character is kind of sitting on and has eyes on. And you're probably wondering why this is a big deal. Well, mostly because it sort of ruins the game, right? If you pretty much instantly know that someone's coming into your systems, then you kind of have time to prepare and sort of like, I want to just straight up say ruin somebody's experience when they're playing the game, especially anybody that's trying to PvP and or potentially hunt within your systems that you own. And shout out to Gootsbusters, who is also going to be linked in the description of this video. They did a magnificent job also exposing some of the other transgressions that Goosefleet kind of did, because it wasn't just the Skynet. No, that was just a part of it. The other half is them taking money in the form of Plex from this elusive, infamous individual who I won't really name because I don't want to really give them any more exposure, who gained all of this kind of Plex or ISK via illegitimate means. Now, to put things into perspective of just how much ISK, raw ISK they were making, they managed to ruin a lot of the faction mod markets because of how much LP they were gaining from running 44 accounts, I believe, simultaneously, doing L4 missions just every single day. Now, I can understand doing this by yourself, and even by yourself you were able to get an insurmountable amount of LP. I did it before. I would run L4 missions in a varger and it was very fast, but to run 44 accounts, now that's kind of ridiculous, really. And to further put things into perspective, I believe within one of the screenshots it is claimed and thrown around that he would pay Goosefleet 5,000 Plex for them to sort of look away. Now, I have the math here, and I'll include some of the Janice appraisals But just alone, 5,000 plex G to buy is 23 billion ISK. Now for sell, it runs a little bit higher. It's at 25 billion, but regardless, I mean, you're talking about multi-billions, right? Whereas some of the players, even myself, we struggle to even break 5 billion in a few months. So now that we've talked about the RMTing and we've talked about the Skynet, what has transpired since then? And obviously, Goose Fleet has now decommissioned the Skynet bot, and they have now kicked the infamous player from their corporation. So what happens next? Well, for me personally, I would want to see some accountability. Now, if you read through the screenshots, it's very notable that leadership from Goose Fleet knew this was happening. So why would Goose Fleet leadership allow this? That's beyond me. I think that is something that I personally hope to gain some insight on. I hope that they don't just try to cover it up, kind of like what they're doing right now. I think that is definitely not the play that they should be doing. I definitely think there should be some addressing of it, right? Like, it's very easy to sweep things under the rug because CCP doesn't really do much when it comes to bots, and that's kind of one of the main reasons why this whole Reddit threads kind of came to life, because hopefully with these Reddit threads there's some accountability, but we don't really know. So personally, as a player of the game, what would I want to see from Goose Fleet leadership? I'd want to see some accountability. I would like for them to make forum posts, whether it's in the form of a Reddit post or the official forums. I think they definitely should address it. I think there is a way for them to come back. Obviously, a lot of their reputation is tarnished at this point, but I don't think it's irreparable, right? I do think that the leadership from Goose Fleet that willingly allowed this, I think they should have the assets removed, right? I think CCP should launch an investigation into them and kind of figure out where some of that money went, right? 22 billion is a lot of ISK, regardless of who you are. Obviously, if you're a trillionaire in the game, maybe it's not that big of a deal, but for us regular folk, like, that's kind of huge. So I would like for them to be held accountable for sure. And kind of like I said, I think CCP should definitely launch a probe. One of my main concerns, and you see this with other games, so like, I'm a Final Fantasy player, Final Fantasy 14 player, and there's always been discussions about these third-party mods. I would hate for CCP to kind of revoke some of these accesses because of the abuse, like some of the individuals do right now. So I definitely would want CCP to potentially punish some of these individuals, though I have heard that particular infamous player has already been IP banned before, but obviously that doesn't really work as well as most people anticipate it to be. So I would just want, at least for CCP, to sort of hold the individuals that allowed these things to kind of occur to be held accountable by them. And believe it or not, I'm somewhat of a new player myself, so seeing these types of discussions give me a little bit of dread and despair of playing the game. Like, why bother playing when somebody else can do what I do with 40 accounts and make 100 times what I'm making? Obviously, at the end of the day, it's all about having fun, and I definitely have been having fun, but some of those tools and bots that exist, they kind of make you wonder, like, what really is the point of playing the game? I've only been playing the game for 6 months, and I've had a blast. I started in January, and I've been enjoying it so much, but put into perspective, you see some of these situations arise, and you're kind of like, wow, is this game really worth playing? Though I am optimistic about the next steps for what will happen with this. I am seeing that a lot of the individuals that were impacted or affected by this are sort of retracting some of their statements or acting like it never happened, which is completely opposite to, the advice that I just gave. But hopefully they do end up changing their minds and sort of addressing their concerns that most people have. So anyways, all with that, I would like to hear your own opinions down below in the comments section, as well as I would really appreciate a sub/like on the video, as that kind of helps keep me motivated to keep making these videos. I don't believe that I'll be making any other follow-ups to this, just because realistically speaking, you can most likely follow this yourself just by going on Reddit. And even now, there's still a few threads being created, so I don't think I'll be making another video on this, but if there is demand to cover something else, let me know down in the comments below, and I'll try to do my best to kind of get around to making a video covering that particular topic. So that's going to be it from me. This is literally a double goodbye, but I hope to see you all within the next video. I have some other ideas kind of cooking in the background. I just need to record some of the footage, and hopefully I can continue getting around to making more content for y'all. But yeah, you guys have a great rest of your day/evening, and I hope to see you all either within the game of Eve or in the comments down below.